Hello and welcome in.
Please do not leave your luggage unattended on the station.
Welcome to the show.
That's right. Welcome to the show. Jesse Montano here. Another episode. Guerilla Sports Daily. We missed yesterday. Holy smokes, was yesterday a crazy day around the office, around the Denver sports world here as I'm messing with my mic. We had a lot going on yesterday, so we had a few housekeeping things to get done. We had stuff going on in the studio. We had a bunch of shows yesterday, so it was good. Yesterday was all good, but we did miss daily. I want to make sure I'm not coming in too hot for you guys here. Did miss daily yesterday, but we are back at it today. Got a full slate of topics to talk about for you guys today. I'm in my home studio again, because again, we got stuff going. Guerilla Sports always has stuff going on in the studio, at the arenas, things like that. So I'm actually not at Avalanche Morning Skate today. Megan Angley, JJ Jerez are down there. We got our boy Jay shooting, getting things, everything that you need from Morning Skate delivered to you guys first thing today. But we've got a lot to talk about today. Jared Goff, what a performance for him last night. Monday Night Football, more doubleheader talk. Just kind of an interesting conversation around the Monday Night Football doubleheaders with ratings and how it's positive for the NFL to have multiple games going, but it's splitting some of those ratings up. We're going to talk a little bit about that. We'll take a quick step back, look at the two teams at the top of the NFL right now, both undefeated. One was expected to be there, one was not. We're going to talk a little bit about Highlands Ranch, Colorado native Christian McCaffrey, the injury update we got on him. Tyler Bidet, scary scene on the Broncos sidelines on Sunday. We got an update, small update on him. We'll touch once again on what's going on with the Pac-12 and the Mountain West Conference. More drama continues to unfold there, but now with each conference getting some hard commitments from teams. Major shakeup on the TV distribution side. Last week, we talked about Altitude finally getting back not on Comcast, not on Comcast yet, but it is on a streaming platform, Altitude Plus. Plus, they'll be offering They'll be offering channels locally in the Denver market, but a major shakeup coming to DirecTV, the one distributor that did have a deal with Altitude before last week. They make a big acquisition this week, but maybe not for the dollar figure that you'd be expecting. And then, yes, we are going to talk about Jeremy Swayman and what Seabass had to say yesterday. Cam Neely for the Boston Bruins, his comments have caused quite a stir between the Boston Bruins and restricted free agent goaltender Jeremy Swayman. Then we'll wrap things up today talking a little bit about an exciting announcement out of Utah that originally was announced just for the Utah Hockey Club, but it looks like it will be more than that. Looks like the Jazz will be getting in on the exciting announcement from yesterday. But let's talk about all of it, and we are going to start off with Mr. Perfect, Jared Goff. Are you kidding me? 18 for 18 last night, throwing for 292 yards, 2 touchdowns that he threw, and 1 touchdown that he himself caught off a trick play in the red zone. What an impressive performance for Jared Goff. Gotta say, quick side note, absolutely love the black unis with the blue and black helmet for the Detroit Lions. It's a great look. But Monday Night Football, they come to play last night, and Jared Goff in particular. My favorite part of this, Jared Goff not even given the game ball. Head coach said that he didn't realize that Goff went 18 for 18. He said, I knew he was very good tonight, but did not realize that not only was he very good, but he was perfect as the Lions knock off the Seahawks. I almost just said the Sea Lions. I almost said the Sea Lions knockoff. The Lions knock off the Seahawks 42-29 behind Goff's 18 for 18 performance. It was the most complete passes, the most pass attempts without an incompletion in NFL history. 18 for 18. We just talked last week. Jaden Daniels throws for 91% in the the Commanders Monday Night Football win last week. And I was saying, that's almost unheard of. Who's the last guy that you can think of that goes over 90%? Well, Jared Goff comes out 1 week later and on his Monday night game goes 100%, 18 for 18. The other Monday night game, the Titans knock off the Dolphins 31-12. And let's talk a little bit about Monday Night Football. Because 2 weeks in a row, we've had double headers on Monday night. There's still 2 more to go this season in the NFL. They will have 2 more Monday nights where we will have multiple games going. It's tough. It's tough for me because the numbers are there to support what the NFL is trying to do here. The NFL is trying to, which, they definitely need. They're trying to make it a bigger night. The idea is, the theory behind it is, well, multiple games means larger viewers, more viewership. Are you splitting your viewership too much? Are you dividing it between 2 games? Now, the NFL has maybe lucked out. Well, I guess I don't know if they would consider it lucking out, but so far in the 2 doubleheader Monday night nights, I always hate repeating words like that. The 2 Monday night doubleheader Monday nights have each featured 1 good game, really entertaining, kind of down to the wire, or like what we saw from Jared Goff last night, an outstanding individual effort. And then the other game has been a little bit of a dud. Like I said last night, 31-12. Titans over the Dolphins. No Tua for the Dolphins. Tyreek Hill really not getting utilized all that much in the current situation that they've got. So that game was kind of a dud. So everyone turned their attention to Detroit, Seattle. My question for the NFL and for ESPN here is, what happens on a night where you've got 2 games that are highly entertaining, that are both coming down to the wire, that are both seeing outstanding performances from quarterbacks or receiver, whoever, again, I get it. The idea is more than 1 game means more people are tuning in, but you're splitting your audience. So while you maybe while you maybe have a larger audience to pull from across both games, your numbers for both really aren't as strong. Just last week, let's take this for example. And again, this is also a product of the fact that you've had 2 games that have been duds on Monday nights, paired up against exciting finishes, exciting games, outstanding individual efforts. Last week, 19 million viewers for Monday Night Football across the 2 games. Commanders Bengals, where we saw that incredible Jaden Daniels performance, pulled in 13.2 million of those viewers. While the other game, Bills Jags, which was the blowout from last week's Monday Night Football, just 6.4 million viewers. So again, yes, your numbers are up. The 2 doubleheader nights that they've had so far have averaged 21.8 million viewers relative to last year, where a lot of those the Monday Night Football average was 17.4 million viewers. So you're up overall, but the individual games themselves are down. again, you're competing against yourself. I heard a suggestion this morning saying, well, what if they staggered it a little bit? Because again, right now, you've ended up 2 weeks in a row, one good game, one bad game. And I just can't imagine that the NFL would love for there to be two games both going to overtime that people can't decide which one they want to watch and splitting that viewership right down the middle. So again, you're averaging almost 22 million viewers for Monday Night Football on these two doubleheader nights, which is up over the average of 17.4 million for last year's Monday Night Football. But keep in mind that 17.4 million average last season was all for one game. So let's say you keep this 22 million average viewership for the doubleheader Monday Night Football, but suddenly next week or the next time that they're doing this doubleheader, we get two great games that both come down to the wire. How is the NFL and ESPN going to look at two games that each average somewhere between 11 and 12 million viewers? Way down from 17.4 million. They're not doing it every Monday night. There's only two more left this season. We still have a long way to go. It's only week 4 in the NFL, but just interesting. It's been something that has caught my eye. I assumed, truthfully, I did not know that they were doing the double headers up until last week. When I saw it on the schedule, I assumed weird scheduling conflict or one of these teams overseas, what's going on. But then, that was kind of my cue to put on my journalist hat a little bit and do a little bit more research and try to figure out not only, what they're doing, which is double headers on Monday night, but why are they trying to do it? The viewership, the ratings are definitely a large driver behind it. You could look at stuff like ManningCast as well, already offering our alternative broadcasts on Monday night. But just interesting. I imagine that the 4 games this year are definitely a trial for the NFL and ESPN to see how they want to do this going forward. But, again, you've benefited from there being very different games going on each week. My last thought on this is I do think about the players who are playing in prime time. It's supposed to be you are the game of the week. They're splitting that audience with another team now. Just an interesting thought, but it's always good to have fun, exciting games on, so I'm never turning my nose up at that. But I don't know. Maybe go with a staggered start time if you're really wanting to do 2 Monday night games. Do an Eastern time zone start and then a Pacific time zone start. And that way, if there are 2 good games, you don't have to worry about competing against yourself. Let's move on. Going to keep an eye on this all season long, see what the ratings are looking like, seeing how the NFL and ESPN approach Monday Night Football going forward. Talked last week about the Kansas City Chiefs continuing to look like the team of destiny. Well, they are just one of 2 teams after week 4 who are left undefeated. The Kansas City Chiefs, who just again continue to win thrilling games that come down to the wire and that they just find a way to win. If you've followed my coverage for long enough, you know that I'm a big believer in winners find a way to win. The Kansas City Chiefs have once again shown they are winners just through and through. They are winners. They find ways to pull games out in the end. They were a preseason favorite for the Super Bowl. They were a preseason favorite to win their division. They were a preseason favorite to finish near the top of the league. Nothing about the Kansas City Chiefs being 4-0 is surprising, unless maybe you've watched some of the games that have looked like, I don't know. Are they going to pull this one out? They have. The Minnesota Vikings 4-0 to start the season. The Minnesota Vikings, look, at the start of the season, the first week, 2 weeks, we went through, surprising result based off what we expected from these teams before the season got going. Whoa, big win. Oh my gosh, shocking loss. We're looking at you, Cincinnati Bengals. This is another team. Minnesota Vikings sitting at 4-0. Their preseason over-under line was set at 6.5. They're more than halfway to what their preseason betting line was. Now, after a 4-0 start, that line's sitting at 11.5. What a start for the Minnesota Vikings. Coming out of the gates, and Yeah, showing some people, hey, we're here, getting great quarterback play. Exciting times if you're in Minnesota and you're a Vikings fan. 2 undefeated teams left. I feel like we usually have more by the time week 4 rolls around, but that's it. Chiefs, Vikings. Chiefs expected to be there preseason. Vikings definitely not. Fun to see for them. Let's talk a little bit of not very fun NFL news, and that's Christian McCaffrey. Highlands Ranch, Colorado native, went to Valor just right up the street here. A bilateral Achilles tendonitis. Tendonitis of the Achilles in both legs, although reports are right now it's maybe more concentrated in one leg than the other. If you remember last week, we talked about Christian McCaffrey went overseas to Germany to seek a second opinion on the injury he was dealing with. No timetable is being given right now. Sounds like Christian McCaffrey is on his way back stateside, if not already back here, but does have tendonitis of the Achilles tendon in both legs, bilateral tendonitis of the Achilles. And it doesn't sound like it's necessarily season ending. It seems like we will get a glimpse of Christian McCaffrey at some point this season. But for right now, Christian McCaffrey, no timetable to return. We knew that he was going to Germany to see a specialist in Achilles tendons. Sounds like tendonitis. Like I said, bilateral tendonitis in both Achilles for Christian McCaffrey. Again, it's just tough. I mean, no questions asked, no debate from anybody, one of the top players in the NFL. I saw an article today talking about Christian McCaffrey fantasy owners. Once again, you use high draft picks on this dude. It just seems like he's always hurt. I feel for Christian McCaffrey. I do. Truthfully, my family, again, I've told this story before. My parents live really close to Valor Christian. My dad would go watch Christian McCaffrey. I wasn't in high school. My sisters weren't in high school. My dad would go watch Christian McCaffrey because he was worth the price of admission at Valor Christian here in Highlands Ranch. But it's disappointing. I feel bad for him. Feel for the guy. You hope he can get healthy, get back. They go all the way to the Super Bowl last year. It would have been great to see him win one. You'd like to see him get back there again. But you're hoping for the health to sort itself out. Christian McCaffrey, no timetable for his return. Want to talk just briefly, very briefly, and give folks an update. Tyler Bidet, Denver Broncos, did fly home after a scary scene on the sidelines on Sunday. This was the hit right here. Kind of an awkward hit. Bidet got up, walked to the sidelines, and then I'm going to be careful on using the word collapsed. He went down on the sidelines. Now, again, the cameras didn't really show. Was he helped down? Did he kind of take a knee and then fall, or did he outright collapse? But he went down, was not moving much, and had to actually be stretchered out of the stadium and taken to a local area hospital where he was checked and made sure that he had movement and all of his extremities, etc. Sean Payton got into a little bit of a heated exchange after the game with a reporter saying, I don't owe you guys an explanation on anything. I don't have to tell you if he's coming home with us tonight or not. And that he basically said, we're keeping this in house. Like, it's none of your concern. Folks were trying to check on to see, was Bidet all right? I get where Sean Payton is coming from 100%. They don't have to provide injury updates. Now, I know the NFL does have maybe slightly stricter rules around declaring if players are going to be available or not in practice, things like that. But it was a scary situation. You can tell that with these types of situations, teams are always, because it didn't appear to be, your standard football injury. Yes, it came as a result of a hit that looked a little bit scary. Maybe like the crown of the helmet got him in the back, just kind of hit him in a funky spot. People were speculating, is it a bad pinched nerve? What is it? So I get why Sean Payton maybe didn't want to give details that he didn't necessarily have in the postgame about Bidet. But this is what Sean Payton had to say when asked about the status of Tyler Bidet after the game.
Yeah.
I'm just making sure.
Making sure what? I said, I'm not.
Just giving you an opportunity.
No, I don't need an opportunity at my press conference. I'm good. I don't want to discuss injury.
I
Is
just
that
want to
okay?
see if he's going on the plane.
Yeah, we'll see.
All right.
We'll see. Is that fair?
More than fair.
All right, we'll see.
The question that was being asked was mostly around, is he well enough to travel home? Again, I get where Sean Payton's coming from, but I also understand where the reporter's coming from, wanting to check in on a player that suffered what looked like a pretty scary injury on TV, or at least up from the press box. So glad to hear that Bidet is heading back home and will be rejoining the team, but we don't have a hard update on that injury right now and his status moving forward. But we'll be definitely keeping an eye on this one. Like I said, a little bit of a scary moment, not a little bit, a very scary moment on the sidelines for the Denver Broncos and Tyler Bidet. Hope he's doing better. Quickly, let's talk a little bit about Pac-12 Mountain West Conference. Are you getting tired of hearing about it yet? Well, not if you're a Pac-12 or Mountain West Conference fan, as these two conferences are now fighting to stay alive. The Pac-12, this whole move has been in an attempt to keep their FBS status, trying to get back to 8 teams. Of course, they had been cut all the way down to, with teams leaving, going to different conferences, reshuffling all over the place. The Pac-12 had been narrowed all the way down to Oregon State and Washington State, which was not going to be enough for them to keep their FBS status. They needed to get to at least 8 teams. So they started plucking out of the Mountain West Conference, which had well more than 8 teams. But now, with the exits heading to the Pac-12, the Mountain West is now down to 7 teams. So very suddenly, both the Pac-12 and the Mountain West are in a scramble to get one more team by 2027. Both conferences have 7 schools committed for 2026, with Gonzaga announcing this morning that they would be joining the Pac-12 as well, which would push the Pac-12 to 8. But Gonzaga does not have a football program, at least not a Division I football program. So we'll keep an eye on this one to see how Gonzaga and what they are trying to do impacts the Pac-12. Is the Pac-12 still going to need to go out and add another school? Will the governing bodies that be say, nope, you've got 8 in your conference, you're good? It'll be interesting. It sounds like NIU is talking to the Mountain West Conference about potentially joining there, because again, suddenly this has gone from the Pac-12 needing to add schools to now both of these conferences needing to add schools. So the Mountain West went from sitting in a good spot to losing a bunch of their schools and are now having to find candidates for new members as well. New Mexico State, UTEP also among potential targets, as well as schools coming out of the Sun Belt, Middle American Conference, things like that. We'll keep an eye on it. I don't think that I'm positive this isn't done on the Mountain West side, and it feels like it's likely not done on the Pac-12 side as well. Like I said, 7 schools committed to each conference by 2026. Gonzaga announcing this morning they will be joining the Pac-12, but we will see what type of impact that has on the football side of things. Another thing that we've been talking a lot about, and I've been shocked at how much news there has been this summer about TV distribution, RSNs, streaming rights, and more on the way, as DirecTV has completed their purchase, their acquisition of Dish Network. Now, this is still pending an FCC approval, as this would now become the largest TV distributor in the world. DirecTV, or I guess I shouldn't say the world, probably the world by sheer numbers, but specifically in the US, DirecTV and Dish would surpass Comcast in terms of their footprint and in terms of their availability. Now, again, I would mind you all to maybe take this with a little bit of a grain of salt, because if you remember, several years back, Comcast NBC Universal acquired Time Warner Cable before the FCC shut that down, saying, no. That would give you way too much of an advantage, way too large of a footprint. And they did refer to it as a monopoly, that they would have a monopoly over the rest of the market had that merger been allowed to go through. So we'll see if the FCC pushes this one through, or if there's any kind of pushback on that as well. Along with this merger, DirecTV does also get they buy the rights to Dish Network streaming platform, which is Sling TV, which of course is one of the major players in the direct to consumer streaming TV service, cable option, however you want to refer to that. I don't really know the best way to refer to that. But they will get Sling TV as well as a part of this, so they can move away from their horribly received DirecTV stream platform. This is an interesting one. We'll see what impact this has on companies like Comcast, companies like Fubo, who are currently tied up in litigation with Venue Sports, the joint venture from Disney, ESPN, and Fox, as well as Time Warner. But this could potentially be a big shift. Now, keep in mind, DirecTV has really, for the last number of years, been just trying to keep things afloat, with lots of rumors over the last couple of years that AT&T was actually going to shut down the DirecTV operations of their business because they were hemorrhaging money. The launch of the DirecTV streaming service did not have the bump that they were hoping or anticipating. And in fact, it kind of led to the opposite. They were losing subscribers faster than they could add them. So we'll see how this one plays out. To me, this feels like two legacy media companies that are really kind of at the back end of the legacy media train, trying to see if they can merge their powers together. DirecTV lost exclusivity to Sunday Ticket last year. You can tell they're really trying to recoup a lot of their losses over the last couple of years. So we'll see what happens here. The most interesting part of this deal, now you're saying, look, DirecTV and Dish, now the largest footprint in the U.S. for any distributor. What must a deal like that have cost? $1. DirecTV buys Dish Network for $1 to complete the paper transaction, while also taking on $9.8 billion in debt that Dish Network had accrued over the years. So a small purchase price, but a large amount of assumption of debt for DirecTV by taking on Dish Network and Sling TV. I'll be curious to see, especially on the Sling side, what type of impact this will have on the products being offered, and if they can, do anything on the streaming side, like what we've seen with Venue Sports. Is DirecTV going to try to shake up their own product with this merger? I don't know why else you'd take on nearly $10 billion, billion with a B, in debt for a venture like this. But again, it's interesting, and the continued shakeup of the TV distribution market continues. The continued shakeup continues. Moving on here, and this is what we have in the title, and I think it is the most interesting sports story, not just of the day, not just of the week. This is one of the more interesting ones that we've followed all year. Jeremy Swayman and the Boston Bruins are at a stalemate still over the restricted free agents new contract. He does not have a deal right now, and Jeremy Swayman is maybe one of the more interesting cases of this type of situation that I can remember, mostly because of the uniqueness of his experience. 25 years old, Jeremy Swayman has come in and has been absolute lights out. Has a Jennings Trophy with the Boston Bruins for the lowest save percentage in the league. And again, has been an above average goaltender every single year of his NHL career. His rookie year, he finished with a .945 save percentage. For those of you who aren't familiar with the way that hockey in the NHL keeps their goalie stats, goaltending stats, mind completely on break there. .945 means you're stopping 94.5% of the shots that you see. So a 945 save percentage his rookie year. In his second season, his first full season, he's a 914 goalie, which is above the average of 910. Then 2 years ago, he was a 920 goaltender, and then last year a 916. So well above average every single season. The interesting part of this is Jeremy Swayman has split all of those seasons with Linus Ullmark, another goaltender who's been playing in Boston, who's been putting up similar numbers. Well, the Bruins were finally forced to make a decision this past summer with the contract of Jeremy Swayman up for renegotiation. They traded Linus Ullmark to the Ottawa Senators. That move essentially told everybody in the hockey and sports world, hey, Jeremy Swayman's our guy. We're going to pay him. We're going to get the deal done. We think he's the goaltender for the Boston Bruins. Only issue is, not long after that trade, rumors started to swirl that the two sides were nowhere near each other in these negotiations. The rumor that was reported last month, Ryan Whitney on the Spit and Chicklets podcast, was that the offer that was made to Jeremy Swayman was 4 years, $6.2 million per. While reports coming out of Jeremy Swayman's camp were that they were actually asking for something closer to the Sergei Bobrovsky contract that Florida signed a few years ago. That one was 7 years, $10 million per. Jeremy Swayman was looking for that extra year that you can get if you're re-signing with a team. He was looking for 8 years, maybe north of $9 million. So a little bit less on the average annual value, but one additional year to what Bobrovsky got. I'm not a mathematician, but 4 years, 6.2 per is nowhere near in the realm of 8 years, $9 million per. So that last month was the first real report that we had gotten that said, oh man, these guys aren't even close. Well, training camp has gotten started, preseason has gotten started, and Jeremy Swayman still isn't in net for the Boston Bruins. And you were thinking, well, this has to come to pass eventually. They've got to get something done eventually, right? He's just too valuable. There's no way the Bruins would do anything to upset Jeremy Swayman, given where these negotiations are at and how desperately they need him and how badly they need him to sign this deal. So everyone's saying, well, there's no way the Bruins are going to do anything crazy before they get this deal done. And Seabass showed up and took the stage yesterday. Cam Neely made one of the more shocking statements I've heard a team executive make, while it's public knowledge that ongoing negotiations with a player are not going well.
Since you say you were surprised, Cam, can you share any of the specifics here, be it what his ask is in terms of dollars or term?
Well, I don't want to get into the weeds with what his ask is, but I know that I have 64 million reasons why I'd be playing right now.
To air out negotiation terms like that? I could not believe that he did that, and especially for Cam Neely to put it that way. To say, I have 64 million reasons why I'd be playing. I mean, really kind of puts it on Jeremy Swayman. Almost kind of makes it sound like everything we've done has been more than fair. Everything we've done, is in his best interest, and he just doesn't want it. Well, as you can imagine, Jeremy Swayman didn't appreciate that comment. and neither did his agent. So yesterday, Jeremy Swayman's agent, Louis Gross, puts out a statement online that ends in a way that makes you say, I cannot believe they messed this up after trading Linus Ullmark. Here's the quote. The statement from Louis Gross, who represents Jeremy Swayman. Quote, normally, I do not release statements or discuss negotiations through the media. However, in this case, I feel I need to defend my client. At today's press conference, $64 million was referenced. This was the first time that number was discussed in our negotiations. Prior to the press conference, no offer was made reaching that level. We are extremely disappointed. This was not fair to Jeremy. We will take a few days to discuss where we go from here. Seabass. Like I said, the Boston Bruins had two goalies that a lot of people thought were top tier goaltenders, maybe even elite status. They move on from one, presumably so they'd have enough money to sign the other. Then they botch the negotiations, and then Cam Neely comes out and puts his foot in his mouth and maybe just walked Jeremy Swayman out the door. I don't know how you go from this to an 8-year extension. There's too much bad blood. We'll see what happens here. I mean, you're approaching the season. You're not only is it going to be difficult for them to get Swayman signed and up to speed in time. Not that Jeremy Swayman needs to be taught how to play for the Bruins, but get into game shape and up to game speed and things like that. Not only are you behind the 8 ball there, but now if you are needing to make a move, you're getting to the time where teams are going to have cap problems. You're going to have to find a team that really has the ability to get Jeremy Swayman signed to what he wants. And that's going to be tough for teams to fit in this time of year when they're trying to make their own roster decisions. I agree with what Tim says here in the chat. Yeah, if I'm Jeremy Swayman, after what happened yesterday, my price just went up at least another $1 million. You want to make this right? You want me here in Boston? Cool. Price just went up. We'll see what happens with this one. Jeremy Swayman's got a decision to make whether he wants to be in Boston or not. To me, it's really up to him. I can't imagine the Bruins organization was happy with Cam Neely. I can't imagine Don Sweeney, the GM, was happy with him saying that because that just made negotiations much more difficult. So we'll keep an eye on this one. But Seabass, come on, man. Figure it out. Last one, closing out today's show with a fun little announcement out of Utah. Utah Hockey Club yesterday did announce their fan-friendly concession prices with a Dasani bottle of water going for $2, box of popcorn going for $3, nachos, hot dogs, and Far's ice cream all going for $3. This is meant to be part of their fan-friendly initiative. And the exciting part of this, if you're in Utah, was this was announced yesterday as a big push for the Utah Hockey Club. Hey, new fans, we want to get people in the building, especially, I don't know if you guys have seen those images going around of the limited visibility seats where you can only see one end of the rink. Not great. So this felt like an initiative push targeted at Utah Hockey Club fans. But then later in the day, the Utah Jazz, also owned by Ryan Smith, same owner, same building, the Delta Center, announced they would be matching these prices as well for the items listed here. So fan-friendly concession prices in Utah for both the hockey club and the Jazz. I'd love to see some teams and some facilities follow suit on this. I'm not saying you got to make every last item super affordable. Look, I also get how it goes. You got people there. They paid money for the ticket. You can kind of set the prices that you want, but it doesn't hurt to have a few items that are goodwill pricing that make games a little bit more palatable for some low income folks who maybe spend a lot of money, save up for a long time to be able to make it to just one game, make that game night experience a little bit more palatable for them. So I like it. I'm a fan. Good for Utah. Good for the hockey club, good for the Jazz, just good for Utah. Good for Ryan Smith for making this move. Would love to see other teams follow suit on this. In their buildings, you can give us the Dasani bottled water that tastes like a garden hose. You can give us that for $2. I think you'll be fine. That's going to do it for today, you guys. Like I said, Megan Angley, JJ Jerez down at Ball Arena right now, so keep an eye on the Guerilla Sports Twitter and YouTube all day long for all the great content coming from there. The Nuggets are off to Dubai, so we won't be there with them, but we'll be at Broncos today as well. Plus, we got everything locked in for you guys this weekend, a bye week for CU. But we got a lot going on. There's a lot happening. NHL is racing towards the start of the season. Cannot wait. And we're finally get some NBA games to talk a little bit about here in the preseason. But that'll do it for today, you guys. Thanks so much for tuning in. We'll be back at it tomorrow. I believe Jay will be with you guys tomorrow morning. So make sure to tune in. Check that out. Thanks so much for watching, guys. This is Guerilla Sports Daily. My name is Jesse Montano. Have a great day.